with an update on The Rock returning to WWE and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for September 3rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With her having to relinquish her women's title due to injury, Thunder Rosa spoke on Busted Open Radio about equality in wrestling, as this topic has been brought up thanks to CM Punk being able to stay world champion despite his injury. I stand with women's pro wrestling. I believe in diversity. I believe in equal pay. I believe in equality. That's what I have fought for the last 7 years. Not only for me, but for those who come after me. Those women who have called and texted me that have said, Thunder, I don't have a space. There is no place for me. Nobody wants to give me a chance. I said, let me see what I can do. We talk to our sponsors because we're not rich. We don't make money out of the small shows. They are charity shows. We have sponsors from all over the country who are just as invested as we are in women's pro wrestling and to make a difference in our community and pro wrestling. I think pro wrestling should lead the way in showing what equality looks like. Giving her thoughts on the bout between Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida to determine an interim champion, Rosa said, I'm very hopeful that the four-way fighting for the interim women's title is the best match on the card. I really do. When I come back healthy, I will take all my frustration on whoever is in my way for the unification of the title. I do feel I am the undisputed best female wrestler in the world. I deserve the championship reign to prove it. Reacting to AEW President Tony Khan's comments on Rosa being injured and not getting as much TV time as CM Punk did, Conan noted on Keeping It 100, I actually asked her. I said, yo, why would you tell me that it's your knee when it's your back? She said, oh, I thought I told you it was my back. I go, no, you told me it was your knee. Why would you say that? It's either your knee or your back. There is no confusing it. That's like me telling you, yeah, I'm not going to show up because I have an eye infection. And then I go, no, what I really meant is my knee. The conspiracy guy in me felt like maybe, and I can absolutely be wrong, that maybe for having problems backstage, they sat her down and said, say you're injured, but she can also be injured. Recalling his wrestler promo segment with Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre revealed to Sportskeeda that he was not reprimanded for it. I think the line was something like, we're wrestlers in a wrestling ring, let's just freaking wrestle. And it's amazing how much it blew up because that just came out of the moment. I wasn't obviously reprimanded for it. I wasn't told otherwise. Hunter's thing is just speak from your heart, speak from your gut, especially the more experienced talents. Stay within the lines of what you're trying to achieve, but speak your truth. I think we're seeing a lot of superstars do that right now. Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway, the real person, is a very passionate, sometimes angry individual, but I love this industry, so everything I say does come from the heart. Talking to Independent UK about his match against Roman Reigns, McIntyre gave his take on how often a champion should defend their title. Roman is perhaps my greatest rival since I returned to WWE. He's always had my number. He's on the run of a lifetime right now. If I don't beat him, I just don't know who will. But the winds of change are blowing through WWE right now. It all starts and the top end rolls downhill. How are the titles going to be represented? I believe they should be represented on all shows, be defended at least every 30 days, and I'm going to make that happen. When speaking to BT Sport, Chief Content Officer for WWE Triple H revealed that there was a match planned for him at WrestleMania 38. Being back at WrestleMania, coming back, engaging back into it was awesome and amazing. So I have a defibrillator in my chest, which is clearly why I am not wrestling, and why I would never wrestle again. A lot of people ask me, was I upset about that? The answer is no. There was a plan for me to do something at WrestleMania that we had talked about. I was going to do something with Gable Steveson and try to get him launched and get him going. Speaking of the Olympic gold medalist who has been signed to WWE, the Wrestling Observer pointed this out in regards to plans for him. Everything is cold on Gable Steveson. His brother is doing great, and they wanted to debut him some time ago, but it hasn't happened because reviews on his training progress haven't been good. They were going to fast track him after he finished his last season in March, but he hasn't even been around or talked about. Ringside News added that a tenured member of the writing team confirmed that Steveson is not being talked about at all, and this call came from the top. We were told that Steveson's name isn't coming up at all. Maybe that makes him cold, but he's not a topic of conversation. We've heard nothing. He's not talked about. It was made clear that this is not an instance of no creative pitched for him. This situation is about the fact he's not on a list of people to talk about. Whatever he's done, he's not on the list. So this is something that is from way up top. The top used to be Vince McMahon, but now Triple H is calling the shots. It's not known exactly what the issue with Gable Steveson is, but even Triple H, someone who was incredibly high on the Olympic gold medalist, is not including him in the company's immediate plans. With BT Sport, Triple H spoke about the previous Wednesday night ratings war between NXT and AEW, where he said, "No, look, people put so much pressure on these competitive wars. It was never that. Look, first of all, they beat our developmental system. Good for them, right? No, it was never that. There was never even a pressure of like, you have to beat that. Like, it was never that. It's put on the best product we could." Former AEW champion Chris Jericho would fire back at the game, telling Inside the Ropes, "Once again, it is just changing the narrative and changing the history, which makes me laugh. Because when it started, it was not developmental. It was a third brand. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon," and all the other BS that they said. So of course AEW beat the developmental or whatever you want to call it, but who gives a It's such old news. And the show sucks. NXT sucks. It's not a good show, and they know it. Whether they were punished or not, they probably were punished. That's probably why Triple H said those things, because he is angry that we beat them, and he is probably angry that we exist. But you know, we don't care about WWE, we care about our show. We care about putting on the best stories that we can put on. We care about building our fan base and building our ratings. During his interview with Ariel Helwani, Triple H touched on The Rock possibly making his way back to WWE, saying we'll have to see what the future holds. A match with The Rock versus Roman Reigns seems to write itself. The Rock might be able to block off the time, especially with him taking a lighter film schedule, so he can focus on the XFL. It's very possible that could give Dwayne Johnson the needed free time to have one more WWE angle. When you were maybe the most recognizable man on the planet, the most famous actor in Hollywood, probably the most in-demand social media influencer out there, you're busy. That business is fluid. You're doing something and then 30 seconds later, something comes along, and you must do this, and it's the nature of what you do. I thought I had to do this, I gotta do this. A few years ago, we were gonna have a match at WrestleMania. We shot a video and everything, and then the year it happened, it changes. The opportunity changed. I do know this, because I've had this conversation with him. At no time when Rock is making a movie in Hollywood does he stand in the position where he pulls off his elbow pads and he filled by the WWE Universe. There's nothing else like that on the planet that gives you the rush that he gets when he's standing in the middle of the ring. So I know he knows that deep inside of him is that burning thing. I gotta feel that one more time. I gotta get in there one more time. He looks like $1 million, but believe me, you look as good as you are. When you hit that canvas, then stuff starts to fall off of you. The clock is ticking. But if there is a time, it is becoming now. And I know there is a burning desire for him to take advantage of that time. It's just a matter of can he harness the other things to focus on that long enough to get it done. During the beginning of his feud with Riddle, Rollins was set for a match at Summerslam against the original Bro in July. With Riddle ruled to be out of action at that time, they would both be left off the card. Rollins had this to say about it on BT Sport. "Okay, we could use a few more weeks to build this story as it was, but yeah, they made the choice to axe our match and make sure all the other matches were maximized with time and story and all that. Totally understood that and respected that. I was a little upset that we advertised the match and not give it to them. At the level I've been performing for the last year, it felt like a bit of a slap in the face as a performer that I wasn't able to be on what is essentially the second biggest show of the year for us. Of course, I think anybody in my position who takes pride in what they do would think there's gotta be a little bit of disrespect felt there. Did I go about it the right way? Maybe, maybe not." The tweet. I feel bad for people who wanted to see the match, who had paid money to maybe see that match, specifically that we had been building towards a few weeks and had been advertising it for a week or two. I felt the need to control my own narrative, so to speak, in that regard. While the Wrestling Observer previously noted that Warner Bros. Discovery had asked AEW to tone down the language on TV, Fightful is now saying that was taken out of context. A source inside Warner Bros. Discovery talked to us briefly about their current relationship with AEW, and noted that while they still have a significant amount of time left on their contract, AEW programming in its current form makes no negative waves, and overall holds up their end of the deal quite well, particularly when it comes to ratings performance. Speaking about the AEW champion coming back to wrestling after a battle with addiction, Tony Khan said that Jon Moxley is in a much better place. His mind is clearer, his body is healthier, he's leaner, he's more fun, he's having a better time. Jon's always been a great professional and great to work with, but honestly, he's been better than ever since he got himself totally clean and sober. A total breath of fresh air since his return. It's fitting that he had this great run throughout the summer, and as the AEW champion, he's been one of the driving forces that has helped us beat this injury bug. At Clash at the Castle, NXT star and cousin of Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, would make his debut assisting Reigns in defending the Universal title against McIntyre. Many fans were also wondering why the Usos were not at the latest pay-per-view, as they were not able to enter the country due to Jimmy Uso's pending DUI case. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.